Shechim. We're going to read Parshas Shekalim, which means again we're going to read two Shabbos in a row about Machzas Shekel, and it's also that Kviyas was also a Shabbos that was Erev Rosh Chodesh, and the Rebbe is going to connect the idea of Shabbos coming out on Erev Rosh Chodesh with the idea of the Geulah, and the Haftorah special Haftorah that we read for Parshas Shekalim, what that has to do with the Geulah. Bottom of the page, Shiur after the three stars. Hemshech Lamedu B'Leil, just like Kriyas Shabbos Mavarchim Rosh Chodesh. Continuation, what the Rebbe spoke about earlier in the Farbrengen, about how the calendar worked that year and also this year, that Shabbos Mevarchim comes out on the day before Rosh Chodesh. That's why it's called the day of Machar Chodesh. It's called the Maro B'Chodesh, and also part of that we add to the Haftorah as well, including the Haftorah of Parshas Shekalim. Kloimar, this means to say, should take miyad la'achrei Shabbos nefnasim l'Rosh Chodesh, immediately after Shabbos, we enter into Rosh Chodesh. Yesh noi bezeh inyan noisef hakosher and klolos inyan hagulot the kilkamon. There's another concept in addition to what the Rebbe spoke about earlier that has to do with the general idea of the Geulah, of the redemption, as we will explain. This is the unique connection with our days. Ikus of the Moshiach, the heels of Moshiach. Behesam larash v'atzaykid of shturim ularim geshrei, the Moshiach now, and appropriate to the whole tumult and the cry and the and etc. of Moshiach now, but kupa achrona in the last era, behegdim, and by prophecy. The general idea of Shabbos is connected with the time of the Geulah. You move a Maimer of Mishnah, like it's understood from what the Mishnah states, skip the parentheses. Over there, it enumerates every single day what was the song of the day. And we also say those things in our Shir Shal Yom. It's as we say right before Shir Shal Yom, this was the Shir that the Levim sang in the Beis Hamikdash. What was the Shir that the Levim sang on Shabbos? The Shabbos Hayoimrim, on Shabbos they would say what was the psalm of the day that they used to say on Shabbos. Mizmar Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. Now, without thinking, we say, oh, it's Shabbos day, so they're singing a song about Shabbos day. So the Mishnah does not explain it that way. The Gemara explains it that it's Mizmar Shir La'asid Lav. It's a song for the future. L'yom shekulei Shabbos menucha l'chayei lamim, to the day that will be entirely Shabbos and rest forever and ever. What does that mean? So that means that now when I am on my Shabbos in the seventh day of every week, that is connected with the Geulah. Kloimer, this means to say, Shekol Shabbos hu me'ein b'dugma l'zman ha'Geulah, that every Shabbos is similar to and likened to the time of the redemption. Of Bezeh Gufen, and this itself, what time in the redemption? The ultimate. Achlos Hashleim is the Zman ha'Geulah, the ultimate perfection of the time of the redemption, the time when we call Yom Shekulei Shabbos Menucha L'Chayei Lamim, a day that's entirely Shabbos and rest forever and ever. Skip the next paragraph to the third paragraph on the page. Inyan HaGeulah Shabbat Shabbos, the idea of the redemption that's on Shabbos day. Main V'Dugma L'Zman the Yom Shekulei Shabbos Menucha L'Chayei Lamim, similar to and likened to the day that is forever and entirely Shabbos and rest forever. Tzarich Liyas Nimshach Gam B'Chol Yimei Sachoil has to come down also in all the weekdays. Mudgish B'Tfilas HaMidah Yimei Sachoil, like it's emphasized in the davening of Shemoneh Esrei of the weekdays, Bil Shemoneh Esrei. Every single weekday we say, Tzemach David Avdcha Me'eretz Hatzmiach, the sprout of David, your servant, you should quickly make sprout forth, meaning the shoot of David, the one who comes from the house of David, should be given forth, should grow, should blossom. Because to your salvation we hope the entire day. To Loimar, From Shabbos, we go into the weekday, where even in the weekday, we have the request, and we are looking forward to and hoping for the general idea of the redemption, even though it's a weekday. So Shabbos has to impact and shares its Geulah message with the days of the week. So now the Rebbe says a very interesting thing. Shabbos and the weekday can be very distant from each other. And there is something that causes a union between them. Since there's a very great distance between the day of Shabbos to the weekdays, therefore it's necessary to have an intermediary, something that joins the two things. That through that will be the drawing down of the idea of the redemption from Shabbos day to the days of the week. What's an intermediary between Shabbos to the days of the week? That's Yom Tov. Why is it? Because Yom Tov and Yonim Mikra Kodesh, it's a day that we are calling it holiness. We, the Jewish people, are making it holy. Not like Shabbos, which is holy because Hashem established it. We, Bezdin, establishes what day is the first day of the month, and then we are, by extension, establishing when the day is Yom Tov. This means that Yom Tov on its own is a weekday. We call and we draw down in it the idea of holiness, Mikra Kodesh. It's a day that's called and brought down into it holiness. So because it's not coming min hashamayim, it's coming from us, it can act as a intermediary between the Geulah state of Shabbos and what we're trying to impact the weekdays. The Rebbe is going to say there's something even better, something that relates more to the weekdays, which is Rosh Chodesh. In addition to this, there's an intermediary, it's even closer to the weekdays. That is Rosh Chodesh. In the Alpha Pisha Yom Tov, though Yom Tov is only a holy convocation, meaning it's calling down holiness. It's not holiness itself. This means to say, as we said before, essentially it's a weekday. We call, we draw down into the idea of holiness. After it becomes a holy day, it's been called a holiness. There's matters that in its holiness is similar to the holiness of Shabbos day. Therefore, there are many malachas that are prohibited, types of labor that are prohibited on Yom Tov, just like on Shabbos. To such a degree, there are even such malachas that are prohibited on Chalamoid, the intermediary days of Yom Tov. Let's skip the brackets. What is a closer intermediary, since Yom Tov is almost like Shabbos? What's a closer intermediary between Shabbos and the weekdays is Rosh Chodesh. Shemuter b'asiyas malacha. Rosh Chodesh, we're permitted to do malacha. It's a shiur for women. Women know that they have a custom not to do malacha, but it's not a prohibition like on Shabbos and Yom Tov. Apple became, despite the fact that Rosh Chodesh is permitted in doing malachim, by Kedusha Miyuchedes, it has a unique holiness. Moshe Rabbeinu was told when Hashem showed him the idea of the mitzvah of the new moon the first time, he said, like this, see and sanctify, meaning he told Moshe Rabbeinu to sanctify. Not he told Moshe Rabbeinu, the main thing it's a sanctified day. Hashem didn't just say, you will see the moon and then you will proclaim it Rosh Chodesh. You will sanctify it. You will make it Kodesh. That means Rosh Chodesh has in it Kedusha and it's permitted with doing malach. So therefore, it can act as a good intermediary between Shabbos, that is Kedusha off the scale, and the weekday, which doesn't seem to have any Kedusha at all, to draw the Geulah of Shabbos into the Geulah of the weekdays. Now the Rebbe brings out that even in the idea of Rosh Chodesh, the theme of Rosh Chodesh, it expresses the concepts of Geulah as well. Concerning Rosh Chodesh, there's a unique emphasis concerning the general time of the redemption. Rosh Chodesh is the idea of the renewal, the birth of the moon, the new moon. The Indian Zek kosher, that's why it's called Chodesh from the word Chidush. The Indian Zek kosher in Machidush Yechel B'nai Yisrael Begula Asida. The new moon is connected with the new aspect that will be by the Jewish people in the future redemption. The Kiddush Levana, where once a month after Ma'ariv, usually Motzei Shabbos, within the first from day 7 to day 14 of the new moon, so we say the Tefillah of Kiddush of Chodesh, and over there, part of what we say is Shehem Asidim Liskadosh K'moiso. We talk about the Yidden that when Moshiach comes, they will in the future become new like the new moon. Until the ultimate perfection, a full moon. There's the new moon, still small. The full moon is the ultimate. Like the Zohar uses the term concerning Shlomo Melch's times, that the moon was in its fullest, and the ultimate state of that will be even greater than the way it was in Shlomo Melch's time. Will be when Moshiach comes, that the moon will be full, indicating also the fullness and completion of perfection of the Yid. According to this, understood the unique quality, like it's going to be this Shabbos. But take it from Yad La'achri Yom Shabbos, when Rosh Chodesh comes immediately after the day of Shabbos, Mocher Chodesh, and the morrow is Chodesh, B'Shachar Maver Yom Shabbos, Matzav Shel Geulah, Liyimei Achoil Matzav Shel Golus. Why the Amamutz Rosh Chodesh, Habom Yad La'achri Shabbos, when the transition from Shabbos, which is a state of redemption, to the days of the week, which is a state of Golus, is through the intermediary of Rosh Chodesh, because the Rosh Chodesh is following Shabbos. Then it's easier to draw down the redemption of Shabbos on all the days of the week. Because in Rosh Chodesh it's emphasized the general idea of the redemption, that they will in the future become renewed like the new moon. So that inspires us and brings a Geulah feeling into the rest of the week, even more so, being that we went straight from Shabbos into Rosh Chodesh. The Rebbe says in Yud Aleph, in a kol amar le'el movement the Parshas afilo liyehudi pashut b'yoser, all the above understood simply even to an ordinary Jew that hasn't studied, let's say, a lot of Chassidus that Rebbe makes reference to. He doesn't know Kabbalah, he doesn't know Chassidus, and so on. Kol Yehudi Yedeo Margis, every Yid knows and feels. Shabbos nimtzu b'matzav shel Geulah. That on Shabbos he finds himself in a state and situation of redemption b'yachas l'mamodim matzavi moisachol, in comparison to his state of being, his mental state, his emotional state, his spiritual state during the weekday. Therefore, though when Shabbos is over, he will have to concern himself concerning matters of making a living. He still has debts from the days prior to Shabbos. After became still in all. When Shabbos comes, he forgets all the matters are connected with mundane things, with the weekday matters. He removes any type of sadness and worry from his heart. like the expression is, Ein Eitzav Ba, there's no sadness in the day of Shabbos. U'misnaig bepoil mamish v'oifin shel simcha v'tainug. He acts in actuality in a way of joy and delight. Ushars midas, he sings midas, v'oichel basar shamim v'yayin yashin. He eats juicy meat and old wine, at least comparable to what he would eat during the week. Like if Shutim Mamish, or he literally eats all, juicy meat and old wine. When this ordinary Jew leaves Shabbos to go into the weekdays, he understands simply the Eina Kavona Bezeshi Yehudi Yazim Chasasholem Esafiras Shabbos. He doesn't. The purpose over here is not that a Yid should, heaven forbid, leave behind the atmosphere and the holiness of Shabbos. Every Yid understands that, the Rebbe says. Allah Adra, but just the opposite. Akabanahi, the intention is La'amshich as Kedush Shabbos, to draw down the sanctity of Shabbos, Matzav Shel Geulah, a state of redemption, the Maimed of Matzav the Moisachoil, in a state and situation of the weekdays to transmit and to transition from that Shabbos atmosphere into the weekdays. And the Rebbe says, again, we're not talking about a great person that knows deep concepts in Kabbalah, who Omnam Yehudi Pashu Treni Adamash Kasim Bezoyar. He's true. He's an ordinary Jew that doesn't know what it says in the Zohar Shabbos about the Shabbos, that Sheminei is Baruch and Kuli Yoimin Sham Shachas Abracham Yom Shabbos Akoyim Moisachoil. He doesn't know what the Zohar says, that on Shabbos all the brachas come down for the weekdays. Avlu Meiv Zeis with Parshas, he understands it simply that Shabbos is supposed to be impacting his day-to-day weekday. L'chein, therefore, takes miyad b'tfil Shemoneh Esrei to Motzei Shabbos immediately in the Shemoneh Esrei on Motzei Shabbos on Ma'ariv. Hareu mevakish es semach David avcha meretz hatzmiach. The sprout of David, your servant, you should quickly make blossom because to your salvation we hope the entire day. He lives with the idea of redemption. The request and looking forward to redemption, which is, what's the redemption? In Shabbos. And he's requesting that and living with that throughout the days of the week. This is what preoccupies him. And that's right away in his first tefillah after Shabbos and Ma'ariv, he's already saying this. And that is what an ordinary Jew understands about Shabbos. Now he's going to tell us what an ordinary Jew understands about Rosh Chodesh. Good base. Maybe you would Parshas Geulah, Rosh Chodesh. So too, an ordinary Jew understands the great quality of Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh in Yonim Moiled v'Chidush Alavan. Rosh Chodesh is the birth and the new moon. When the Jew asks himself, what is the lesson from the new moon concerning himself? Like the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, Shekol, Davar, Yehudi, Roya, Shemea, everything that a Yid sees or hears, it's a lesson in the service. When he sees the birth and the new moon, he asks himself, what is the lesson of the new moon concerning the Yid himself? Concerning this, the Yid is told, there's no need to search over here different types of hints in Kabbalah and Chassidus. Again, the emphasis that Rebbe is saying here that even an ordinary Jew can understand. Why doesn't he have to go looking at Kabbalah Chassidus? Because he opens up the Siddur, as he's soon going to explain, and he looks in what it says in Kiddush Levana. This is, he's told. There's no, I'm sorry, I said this right. It doesn't need to look for hints for Kabbalah. It's a matter that's explicit in the Siddur. The Siddur is for everyone. It's not made for deep people or simple people. It's for all. So the Siddur says, in Kiddush Levana it says, that they will in the future, the Jewish people during the Geulah will become renewed like the moon. the seeing of the birth and the new moon, maskiro moireres eitz Yehudi, it reminds and awakens by Yidas Ahuvda the fact that Heim Asidim was Chodesh Kemoisa, the day the Jewish people will become renewed like the moon. The Kasher Shoyel, Mayo Apirish, Heim Asidim was Chodesh Kemoisa. But he asks, what does it mean that they're going to be renewed like the moon? How can I be new? I'm already X amount of years old. He's already past bar mitzvah age. He's not just born. What type of new thing will happen by him when Moshiach comes? Then the answer is simply, Kol Yehudi Yedea, every Yid knows, that his true existence, Eina Ha'uvda, is not the fact that he has 248 limbs and 365 blood vessels and veins and sinews, etc. It's by a woman. It's more than 248 limbs and organs. Not in this does it express the uniqueness of a Jew in comparison to the nations of the world that we had in last week's Parsha, that I and your nation should be separated and removed from all the nations that's on the face of the earth. So if my being is all about my many limbs and organs, then I could say I'm not getting any new limbs and organs when Moshiach comes. So what's going to be new about it? But rather, that's not what my true being is. My true being is not my body made up of all these limbs and organs. The true existence of a Yid is to glorify and to sing praises and to beautify their Maker for the glory of His holy name, of His kingship. Like it continues in the bracha over there in Kiddush Levana, that it uses that phrase after the words that they will in the future become renewed like it. So when a Yid realizes that their purpose is to serve Hashem, to glorify Hashem, so here we can understand how he could be a totally new being in regards to that when Mashiach comes. This expressed itself both concerning the fulfillment of Torah and its mitzvahs, through a mitzvah he becomes bound up with Hashem. And again, we're talking about an ordinary Jew that doesn't learn Chassidus, doesn't learn Kabbalah, he knows he doesn't know that the word mitzvah is related to the word togetherness and joining, so he doesn't know this concept. On the other hand, even though he doesn't know this inner meaning of the word mitzvah, that the mitzvah simply is fulfilling the will of Hashem. And when I fulfill the will of Hashem by dekim a mitzvah, that through fulfilling a mitzvah, he becomes bound up with Hashem. So therefore, his bond with Hashem and his connection with Hashem is something that could be completely new when Mashiach comes. And not only is Torah mitzvahs, and also concerning all of his matters and activities, not just fulfilling Torah mitzvahs. That he's always putting in effort and he wants to reveal and express his love for Hashem. That's the meaning when we say to glorify his Creator, he wants to show his love for Hashem. Like it's known, many stories from early Chassidim that they related. Surely parts of these stories, some of these stories, were heard from the Rabbeim, like the Smilas to Mimusam Shalnoshim Shutim, about the quality of the simplicity of ordinary Jews. Dugma, for example, the story with the youth that didn't know how to daven, and his desire to express his heartfelt feelings for Hashem, he made the sound of a rooster, a niggin becholil, or another one was playing on flute in honor of Hashem because he had no other way to express his great love that was overflowing in his heart for Hashem. And also the story about a shepherd, Sha'amar, She'im yesh lachaj baruch hu tzayin, he said, if Hashem has sheep, muchen hu liros et tzayin shal kadosh baruch hu l'loy tashlum, he said, my love for Hashem is so great, I am willing to be a shepherd for Hashem's sheep without payment. In other words, all of these things express the simple love that every Jew has for Hashem, in not just in Torah mitzvahs, but in their day-to-day life. And other stories that are similar to this, that are all about a Jew's desire to express their love for Hashem and etc. Well, Pisa moving by Parshas, according to this, is simply understood. Yehudi Pashut, even to an ordinary Jew, Inyan the Heim Hasidim L'Schadish K'Moisa, that they are in the future going to be renewed like the moon. Chiddush b'Mitziusei Amita Shel Yehudi. When Moshiach comes, there'll be a newness in the true existence of a Yid. What's the true existence of a Yid? Koloimars means to say binyonik dusha in matters of holiness. Torah mitzvah, Torah mitzvahs. Shetachos hashlemus b'zeh tiyeh v'Geulah asida. The ultimate perfection, and this will be in the future redemption. Sam moving for this understood. The klolos ha'inyan the reiyas moilad v'chidush halavana maskel chol echad v'chem Yisrael, that the general idea of the seeing of the birth and the new moon reminds every single Yid, even the most ordinary Jew, about the future redemption, that they were in the future become renewed as the moon is new. So this is the point that the Rebbe is saying, that every Jew realizes both Shabbos, the connection, and how it embodies the Geulah, and also how Rosh Chodesh embodies the Geulah. So that's every Jew is aware of that if he just puts his mind to it for a moment. Then he goes on, Yud Gimel, V'zel Toichen Ha'ili, the Machar Chodesh. That is the content of the advantage when it should take it from a yad, but says a Shabbos nifel in the Moel B'chir Shalvana. Immediately, when Shabbos exits, there's right away the birth and the new moon. Kasher Yehudi Yotzim Yom Shabbos. Tzarech Likanos U'Mois HaChoil, when a Yid exits from Shabbos and needs to enter the weekdays. Yeloimar, this means to say, Matzav Shel Geulah Yom Shabbos, Matzav Shel Golos U'Mois HaChoil. He needs to go out of a state of redemption, which the Shabbos indicates. The state of exile, which is the weekdays. Yeshna Nesinas Koyach Miyuchedes, we have a special empowerment this upcoming Shabbos. To draw down the state and the idea of the redemption throughout all the days of the week. Like we spoke about earlier about the davening and the request that for your salvation we hope the entire day. When a Yid immediately after Shabbos sees the birth and the renewal of the moon. Hamadavar, the reason for this is, why does he have this thing? Why does he have this capability to be inspired by the new moon in such a way? Since a Yid knows that the Jewish people, their calendar is a lunar calendar. They count the months by the moon. That's why by a Jew, the Rosh Chodesh, the new month, the first day of the month, is established according and corresponding to when the moon is born. The moon is new. As opposed to the nations of the world, that their new month is Kamiyam Lifnezah, Kamiyam Lachrezah. It could be a few days prior to the new moon. It could be a few days after the new moon. It's not linked to the moon because they don't have the connection to the moon that the Jewish people have. So now, in the Beroisai, when a person sees after sundown of Shabbos day, which is the day prior to Rosh Chodesh, Nipalain in the Moil the idea of the birth of the new moon took place. I raise a mask, I disclose in Geulah, it reminds him and inspires him about the general idea of the redemption. That they will be renewed just like the new moon. And this is about the Geulah, even though he finds himself in the weekdays. It's already Motzei Shabbos. By days of Nakal Yosef Lam Shabbos close Matzah Geulah b'Choyim Moshiach. Through this, it's easier to draw down the idea of the Geulah in the general state of the Geulah in all the weekdays. Calls and movement from all this is understood. Shabbat the Shabbos and Barka Erev Rosh Chodesh Machar Chodesh. When the calendar comes out, that Erev Rosh Chodesh Machar Chodesh is on Shabbos Mevarchim. Mudgish b'Yosef close in Geulah. It's even more emphasized the general idea of the redemption. Behesem la'achroza b'tkupa achreina, appropriate to the proclamation in the last period. Moshiach now, this was in the 80s in Tafshim Mem Vav, if I remember correctly. No, Tafshim Mem Gimel. That Moshiach now. So Rebbe continues, but we know we're in a Geulah mentality. Still, someone could come and ask, what does all the above things have to do to people of his level that he knows he is? A person knows about himself, his state in a situation that he finds himself in exile, double and quadruple darkness. Even during Shabbos day, that then has to be a state of redemption. He feels the exile. So how does all this, what we just now spoke about, apply to him about the redemption that's emphasized in the fact that Shabbos is coming out the day before Rosh Chodesh? The Rebbe says, the response for this is, according to what's known about the response of the Alter Rebbe to Reb Leib of Yanovich, Al-Shelosim, question why it says, Hashem promises the Yidden that I will remove the heart of stone from within you, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Leib Yanovich asked Alter Rebbe about why doesn't it say anything about the brain? Why doesn't it say anything about improving or removing the brain of stone that doesn't allow a person to feel, etc.? So it says, the Alter Rebbe answered of Leib Yanovich, Asaris Moyach HaEven Yichayla V'tzrich Aliyas Haydi Avidasi Shal Adam Atz. Removing the brain of stone could be, and supposed to be, through the avoid of a person himself. Aidei Klolos in Ha'izbonus V'Asagav Moichay Cholu, through the general idea of meditation and comprehension of the brain. Ula'achri Sheyehuda Isis Kol HaToli Boy B'Keshel Asaris Moyach HaEven, where he does everything that's depend upon him concerning removal, the brain of stone. So then, Azai Nifala Inyan the Vasirosis Levever Mikir Bechem Goim Idea Kodesh Baruch Hu. That then becomes affected the idea of removal of the heart of stone from within you through Hashem. And the Rebbe says, and in the parentheses, this means by removing the Yetzer Hara that's called stone as well. Let's go to the next paragraph. Similar to that in our case. Even when we talk about a Jew that finds himself in a state and situation that doesn't feel this in his heart, through knowing and meditating in this in his brain, in a way of understanding and comprehension. Who has killed my you, this visa of the fulfillment of the promise, I will remove the heart of stone from within you, and I will give you a heart of flesh, through Hashem. And then, after all of that, the Rebbe is now going to connect it to the Haftorah that we're going to read this week, which is the Haftorah of Parshas Shekalim. Flawless in Geulah Hamudgish Bekvias to Shabbos and Barkim Erev Rosh Chodesh Machar Chodesh Kanal Barucha, the general idea of the redemption that's emphasized when Shabbos Mevarchim comes out on Erev Rosh Chodesh, like we spoke about at length earlier. Mudgish Gam B'Haftorah, the Parshas Shekalim, is also emphasized in the Haftorah that we read in Parshas Shekalim. Haftorah, the Parshas Shekalim is super. Oidesatzivui Shalayahoya Shalakayanim Lidag Avur Bedek Habayis. Over there, it relates about Yehoyah commanded the Koyanim to put in their effort and to be concerned about fixing up the Beis Hamikdash. When we find ourselves in the time of the Geulah, after the destruction of the first and second Beis Hamikdash, and we say, or we hear we hear in the Haftorah about the idea of repairing and fixing up the Beis Hamikdash. Moving the Parshas, it's self-understood. Now, the Eis Kriyas Haftorah, when reading the Haftorah, the intention in my hearing this is not only for the first Beis Hamikdash or the second Beis Hamikdash, but also primarily for the third Beis Hamikdash, the Mikdash of Hashem, that your hands will prepare, will be redeemed, they'll be built in the future redemption. And that is what we are talking about when we are referring the Haftorah to fixing up the Beis Hamikdash. So the Rebbe is going to ask an obvious question. Hashem is making this. We just now said, Mikdash Adnai Konya Decha, your hands prepared. Though the Beis Hamikdash is built and ready-made, it will be revealed and come from heaven. Shenamar, like it says, Mikdash Adnai Konya Decha, that the Mikdash of Hashem, your hands, Hashem's hands, will prepare, like he brings over there from Rashi and Tosfos. How could there be any type of repair and fixing up and remodeling and improvements in the Mikdash that's the hands of the Hashem, that's made by Hashem's handiwork? So the Rebbe says it's not a question. Since also in the future redemption there'll be the idea of rising up from level to level, as we know that in holiness you're supposed to go up, and they will go from strength to strength. Like it's brought down in Geras HaKodesh, then in the future, when I remove the spirit of Tumah from the land, there will be the ascent in holiness itself. The ultimate perfection and the elevations from level to level will be in holiness itself. That's going to be specifically when Moshiach comes. Including a true traveling and a true ascent. That's incomparable to the previous level that preceded. Nimsa comes out. Also in the future times, in the third Beis Hamikdash, there will be the idea of the checking of the and repairing and improvement of the Beis Hamikdash. Loimar, what does this mean? Live the Atzmai, a person will have to check themselves, Vesabayis, and the home, the Beis Hamikdash, not to check for anything that's in disrepair. There won't be any disrepair, there won't be any negativity. But to check himself, is he really ascending from strength to strength, in a way that his ascent is incomparable to his previous level. The Hesem L'Shleimus Ha'inyan, the Ma'ila B'Kodesh, appropriate and corresponding to the ultimate way of going up in holiness. So the Rebbe explains, Kiloimer, this means to say, though after the third Beis Hamikdash will be built, the general avoid of the Yidden will be in the ultimate perfection, as it says, that when Moshiach comes, we'll be fulfilling the mitzvahs as it is your will. It will be the ultimate perfection of the fulfilling the mitzvahs. Afal became still in all. Since there are ascents to no end, Yagam Oz Klolos in the Bedek even then there will be the idea of checking and improving the house. Live the Talmud Mashiesh be a Choltoi, to constantly check what he has in his capability, to increase and to ascend in all matters of holiness, but such lameless in the ultimate perfection. By days of Poilim Shabbesamim Shashlishi, Lo Yeh from the Nam of the Chsufa Bilvad. Through this, we effect that the third base of Migdash should not be in a way of just bread of shame, meaning it's a gift. It's built and ready from the heavens. It's the Migdash of Hashem, your hands prepared. That there'll be also the advantage of the Yidden contributing to it as well. First and foremost, Yidden request and ask Shakadosh Baruch Hu Yored v'Yigalas HaMikdash Ha'asid Shukvar Bonim Meshuchu Muchem later L'Zgas L'Mach. Yidden request that Hashem should bring down and reveal the future Beis HaMikdash that's already built and ready made and ready to descend and be revealed down below. And after they merit to see in a revealed way in actuality the third Beis HaMikdash, then the Yidden are asking for an additional thing. They should have a part of the building of the third Beis HaMikdash. So it shouldn't be just like a bread of shame, in other words, a gift without our contribution. The Bakshasam Zoom is Malas, I declose in the Bedekabayis. And this request that Yidden asked that they should also have a part in the building of the Beis HaMikdash, this becomes fulfilled through the idea of the checking the house where they can improve it and make it even better than before. The Rebbe concludes with a bracha v'yiratz and shpit the will of Hashem shadibur b'chol ein yom amurim yovim ma'aser poil, that this talking about all the above mentioned matters should come out in actuality. Heim v'negel lamaduber le'eloi d'sapula v'isaskas b'cholam etzoyim. It's both concerning what was spoken about earlier about the activities and involvement in all the mitzvahs which the Rebbe spoke about at the beginning of the Farbrengen. Skip the parentheses. Ve'hein b'negel lamaduber, it's close in our Geulah, also concerning what was spoken about the general idea of the redemption. That they will become renewed like the moon. And the checking and improvement of the Beis HaMikdash, the third Beis HaMikdash. Parshas, and simply put, we merit speedily mamish to the true and complete redemption through Moshiach. In its place, in its location, appropriate to the Torah reading of Parshas Truma, that in that Shabbos of that year they were reading Parshas Truma during Mincha. Skip the parentheses. They will make to me a Migdash, and I will dwell amongst them. When we merit to come together with Moshiach Tzidkeinu, with our holy land, flameless Aretz, to complete our Yisrael, in such a manner that Hashem will broaden your boundaries. Along with the complete nation. In Areinu, Biskanenu, Vanenu, and Asenu, with our youth and our elderly and our sons and our daughters, the Kaspim, Zavim, Itam, and their silver and gold with them, Shlemus HaTorah, the complete Torah, flawless Avodah Torah Mitzvah Shlemus, the general Avodah Torah Mitzvahs, Shlemusa in its completion and its perfection, U'ba'ofen the Adam and Anishmaya, in such a way that, behold, he is with the clouds of heaven, Ka'av to Ifena, like a cloud they will fly, like doves back to their dovecotes, but made mamish speedily in our days.